Okay, all right, I think we can get started. Looks like we have 50 people here and more folks are trickling in. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get started. So hi everybody, my name is Tom Bechkahazi. You can see my name right there. My last name is kind of hard to pronounce, so you can just call me Tom. It's nice to see all of you. Welcome to today's workshop on effective online teaching. It's going to be split up into two parts. So for the first part, I'm going to share a link to a YouTube video. It's something that two other advisors and I created. It's split up into three parts. It's about 48 minutes long, and each section is about 15 minutes. In the first section, I talk about using online tools like Jamboard and Pear Deck for higher level learners, for older learners. In the second part, Celine talks about using Realia, using props for lower level learners, for younger learners. So it concludes with Sean talking about online teaching best practices and just sharing a couple of resources, a couple of links. So you'll have access to that video. You may already have seen it in the Google Classroom streams, but we'll make sure to share that with everybody again. So what I would like everyone to do when they're watching the video is to fill out this. Okay, I'm gonna actually, I'm gonna share my screen here. Okay, so we have 4 different Jamboards set up, and I'm going to share the links for each one. When you open the link, so for example, if you're in the southern region, before you start typing into the Jamboard itself, please go to the 3 little dots here, go to make a copy, and then please make your own copy. Okay, so that's again the 3 little dots here. Click on that, go to make a copy, and then make your own copy. Now you can still share the southern region as a group, but I just want everybody to have access to their own untouched copy as well. So for example, if you are in the southern region, I'm not sure how many of there are of you in attendance here today, but you can go to the second frame, click on the sticky notes icon, and then type whatever you want into sticky note and place that into the respective columns, right? So then that way you can see what your fellow southern region or central region or whichever region you're in, what your fellow ETAs are doing. So I want you guys to do that with what you know about online teaching, specifically effective online teaching, but really it doesn't matter. What you want to know, what you hope to gain from this workshop, and then at the end, what you learned after the workshop is complete. Okay. And then if you continue through, you can see that there's another frame. If you have any questions, there will be a Q&A session at the end. If you have any questions, you can just put notes here. And then there's a link to some useful Jamboard templates. And I'll be sharing these on the Google Classroom streams as well. Okay. So I'm going to share these links now. Here, let me just delete this. Okay. So I'll just start with this because it's already open. Okay. So this is the southern region. All right. And then next is the northern region. And then eastern. And central. Okay. And I can see that a lot of you are already joining the respective Jamboards. Good. Okay. So again, as groups, it's okay to write in the shared copy, in the shared version. It's totally fine, right? If you as a group want to put all of your ideas in one Jamboard, that's totally fine. I can even encourage that. But in addition to that, don't forget to make a copy just so you have it for future reference. And you can, of course, once you make a copy, you can edit it as you see fit. All right, so let me just make sure that there's folks in each. Yep. Looks like there's people in all of these. I have the settings set to anybody with the link, so you shouldn't have any trouble accessing these. All right, so this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna share this link now. Well, I'll share it in just a second. And again, what I would like everyone to do is watch the video, think about the respective parts, and before the video starts, just take a moment to consider what you already know about online teaching. I'm sure a lot of you, perhaps all of you, have taken online courses over the last year and a half, and maybe prior to the start of the pandemic as well. So what do you know? And then think about things that you want to know, and then you'll do this part after the workshop is complete. Okay, so I'm going to share the link, the YouTube link in the chat here. And feel free to log out of the Zoom call. You don't have to stay on Zoom and watch the YouTube video at the same time. The video is about, I think I said 48 minutes long. So try to watch the entirety of the video. And then we'll come back here at 30 past the next hour, regardless of where you are. If you're in Taiwan right now, it's 9:38. So you would come back at 10:30. If you're wherever else you are, just come back in 52 minutes, right? At 30 past the preceding hour or the following hour. And we will move on to the next steps of the workshop. This KWL chart is just designed to help focus your thinking, encourage some metacognition, and you can refer back to it when we're doing the next portion of our workshop. Okay. So again, yeah, feel free to log off if you want to stay on here and hang out. That's fine. Not much is going to be happening here for the next hour. And then I will see everybody back here at 30 past. Okay. So there's the link. I just put it into the chat. If you're still not sure what you need to do, please stick around. You can put your question in the chat. You can unmute your mic and ask. I'll be here. But otherwise, go ahead, go check out the video, fill out the KWL chart, and I will see everybody back here in 51 minutes. Thank you, everybody.
应该是要县长吧，县长支持吧，县长支持的最主要是要县长啊。今天我们约会怎么样？就是到底一下，因为我们现在邀请函没有，在讨论邀请函，但是我们把那个流程怎么样？邀请函的设计，还有里面那个流程，把它先预先安排出来啊，不然一个以后这样就不知道讨论什么。然后再就是接下来讲到的来安排教材，怎么样到的这些事情啊，再还要联系有些学校，比如说还有综合啊，还有一些相关双语的到这些。想要讨论一个，至少这边要去在一个会议上面相关的资料，对，那你都觉得说，按照这样看来，所以今天如果可以的话，就是下班之前，是给我看一下。要找谁说？
那个主任有联络一个那个印刷厂，他那边他有一个应该是有
要掌握一下那个要掌握行程，因为要请他至少要2个礼拜之前就把寄过去。好，了解。OK， 好，就先这样子。谢谢。这是 Ken。OK。所以今天那个叫做 Jace。所以你们应该是不会是天天来。
对，不一定。他现在让10点多2个人到公寓去，然后从自主隔离到我们自己家房里，所以还是要让你就是进去，然后再等1个礼拜之后再出来，然后去接。
那他自己跟他们互动接触过的当中，自己有保护措施吗？
我们会隔距离，就是我们可以看到他，他会比较，然后你去拿钥匙之后，然后进去。
所以你至少要保持一贯，你每天都睡下来。
一定。但他们其实今天之前他们已经做了 PCR，所以得到阴性结果。那我们会以防万一，所以在这1个礼拜之后，还会再做测。
其实现在PCR也好，快筛也好，都就是1采1、2采1到3采都还是可以吃的。
谨慎为上。
对。好，那个好，谢谢。好，再见。
好，下拜拜。我们下
要考虑，主要是要考虑他自己邀请函，还有流程。
问几个问题？
你们要看几个？
我都可以，我觉得还蛮2个，因为很多人。
问的。今天蛮凉的。
其他校长是不是说，所以其他学校也要来这边实验？
什么新的学校？
就是他说有连结校跟综合。
那些20啊。
好，
一样吧，就是那些学校的。
要是它上面流程是，要是它也是流程要先出来，才会搞。
一定要。
All right, everyone, we'll get started in just another minute. Welcome back. I think we had something like 60 or 70 folks in here before, so just give everyone a minute or two to rejoin. We'll get started here in just another minute. Okay, so I see 50, I see the number just ticking up and up and up. So we're gonna begin again, and I'll explain a couple of things about the next step. But before we do that, I'm gonna share my screen again here and just take a look at what some of the groups may have put together. Again, you didn't have to put anything together as a group. And of course you weren't in breakout rooms, so you were all operating independently. But I was watching the 4 Jamboard's progress, and everybody did put some stuff in. So just let's take a look. So let's see here. Classroom management, absolutely very different. Engagement decreases, absolutely. Beautiful thing about Jamboard is you can do this, right? So there's great resources like the one we're using now and Pear Deck, perfect. It's important to take breaks, absolutely. Hopefully you were able to take a little stretch break, drink some water after you finish the video. So these are excellent. And of course, I'm sure the majority of you, if not all of you, have hundreds of hours of experience taking online classes at this point, and maybe even teaching. So I think you're probably pretty familiar with these. And then let's look at what some of the things that you guys want to know. Okay, best resources, we'll definitely be talking about that. How to keep students engaged, you'll be talking about that. Let's see, time management. That's a key concern for all teachers in and out of the classroom, right? How can we be mindful of time online? Okay, all right. Best scenarios to use Pear Deck or Jamboard, perfect. I'm curious if many schools, I believe so. I think almost all of the schools went remote back in May or June of this year. I'm not sure if the whole school system went completely online, but I believe a lot of schools did. Okay, and then again, the what I learned part, you'll be doing that later. All right, so I'll stop sharing here. How many people do we have? 65. Okay, perfect. So this is what we're gonna do next. I am going to stop talking in about 10 minutes. I'm going to explain what I would like everybody to do. Then you're going to get together in breakout rooms, and you're going to work through some discussion points on Jamboard as a group. And then we'll come back here and discuss what you discussed together. Okay. Let's see. I just want to encourage you to think about how I'm presenting this material, right? How clear am I being in discussing and explaining what I expect from everyone in this workshop? Or how opaque, how unclear, how obtuse am I being? Because I've planned certain things quite deliberately, and I want you to think about that while you're discussing the different steps of the workshop. And keep in mind how important it is to communicate clearly, especially in an online context, especially when there's 65 people in one space. And you know, if I mute my microphone and say any questions, the chances of somebody raising their hand or asking a question are pretty minimal. So how do you encourage interaction, and how do you do that while being cognizant of the fact that people may not feel comfortable interacting in a group this size? Okay, so I'm going to show you this. So I love anagrams. I think this one's pretty easy to figure out, but if anyone wants to take a stab at it, you can throw the answer in the chat. Folks tend to get this pretty quickly, but let's see. Let's see who's fastest. Let's gamify this. Oh, Asha. Asha is the champion. Yes, Asha. I don't know if I can find you here. There's too many people here, but yes, congratulations, Asha. You got it. Effective online teaching. That's right. The great thing about Jamboard is that you can move stuff around like this. So you can have all kinds of different activities. This is also effective online teaching, but you can have all kinds of different activities where, you know, you can move letters around to spell different words and have a little bit of fun with that. And depending on the age of your learners, really you can do something with like this with learners as young as 6 and 7. Okay. All right, but yes, we are going to be talking about effective online teaching. Another great thing about Jamboard is the expandable text boxes, right? So I've got this tiny little text box down here at the bottom. When I share this with you, you can do the same thing. So normally it's SWBAT, right? Students will be able to, but I'm going to go with participants here. Participants will be able to determine what constitutes an effective online lesson by discussing and deconstructing this workshop and reflecting on their own teaching context. There you go. So that's what we're going to be doing. And again, I'll be sharing this with everyone in just a second. I just want to discuss a little bit about what I expect from you before I share it. And again, think about that. Like, when does it make sense to share resources? Before, during, or after the explanation? All right, we're going to keep going. So I'll go back to these little UX, UI frames in just a second. But I want to start with this. So in your breakout rooms, you're going to be reading through this text here. And when you're finished, move through each slide, each frame. Continue on until you get to the big red stop. And then you can expand this a little bit if you want, but I'm just going to leave that there for now. Let's go back to the text for a second. All right, so what I would like everybody to do in your groups is read through this and then pay particular attention to the text down here. All right. And I want you to discuss the idea behind this text in your groups and interact with the Jamboard and each other on the subsequent pages. I want you to explore how to use the tool. If you're not familiar with it, you can play around with the tool a little bit. you can explore some of the options here on the left side, sticky notes, text box, and so on. All right. Move through each slide. When you get to here, again, you're going to have to discuss this concept, vote again, and then explain your reasoning. And finally, at the end, reflect on this activity as a whole. So each group needs to choose a captain, a team leader, a group leader, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So when I share the Jamboard, the first thing I would like everybody to do is make a copy for themselves. I've explained how to do that on slide 4. And once you've made a copy, once everybody in the group has made a copy, then I would like one person within the group to volunteer to be the group leader. And what that person will do is share their copy of the Jamboard with all of the other group members. So I will demonstrate that right now because there's a lot of you, and I don't think more than 20 or 30 people can join a Jamboard. So I'm actually going to make a copy right now, like that. And I'm just going to give it, well, we'll just call it this, okay? And I'm going to click OK. And then once it loads, I'll go back to this slide and just make sure I understand what needs to be done. Okay, I need to click on the blue share button. And then I need to click on this blue text here. Click on the drop-down menu, change it to anyone with the link. Go to viewer, click on the drop-down menu, change it to editor. Copy the link and then paste it into the Zoom chat. All right, so one more time. That's share. Click on the blue text, drop-down menu, anyone with the link. Drop-down menu, editor, copy link, and then paste it into the Zoom chat. All right, so I'm going to do that now. I'm going to paste this link and the other link into the chat. So as you click on the link, at some point, one of you, you're not going to be able to join. It's going to say something like, this Jamboard is full. So I'm going to paste both links in the chat. If you get that full Jamboard message, click on the other link. Between the two, there should be enough. And if there aren't, I'll just make another copy. So here we go. Please click on that link. And if that fills up quickly, you can also click on this link. Yeah, okay, so 24, 20. Okay, good. And then remember, when you open that link, please go to make a copy and make your own copy. And of course, once you're in the breakout rooms, you'll be able to choose your team leaders, and then the team leader will follow the steps on slide. Oh, now it says slide 5. Yeah, slide 5 or frame 5. Okay, I'll just give everyone a couple more seconds to access the links and make a copy for themselves. I don't see any questions in the chat, so hopefully everything is going smoothly. Okay. I'm just going to take a timeout and double check if anyone has any questions. You can unmute your microphone or put a question in the chat. Absolutely, Kelsey. There you go. Oh, thank you, Tyler. Teamwork. Okay, any other questions? Any issues accessing the Jamboard, making a copy, anything like that? Okay. So I'm going to explain one more time what I expect from everyone, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Right, so I'm going to go back to, I'll just close this copy. I'm going to go back to frame 6 here. So once you get into breakout rooms, please read through the text, move to the next slide. If you're unsure what to do, you can negotiate meaning. Move to the next slide. Move to the next slide, read the text. Again, discuss. Move to the next slide. And finally, as a group, answer these questions. Now, the important thing is to have the team captain, team leader share their copy of the Jamboard with the rest of the group, because that way all of you can work together on one iteration. That way you're not all working in your own Jamboards. You have your own copy just for posterity, but it's important that all 4 or 5 or 6 of you, however many of you are in a group, are working in one instance of Jamboard together at the same time, so that you can all see your sticky notes, you can all see your text boxes. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. And I think this should take, last time we did this, it was a little bit rushed, but I think we had everybody in breakout rooms for about 25 minutes or so. It's 46 past the hour, so let's do 30 minutes. Let's do about 30 minutes. If your group gets to this slide, this frame, and you answer all of the questions and you're happy with everything, please feel free to continue through the frames and to take a look at the templates here. You can also go all the way to the end at frame 20 and check out the links here. And there was a great question earlier from Amira. And Amira was asking about how to copy and paste text or how to follow links out of Jamboard. It's not quite as easy as doing it in a Google Doc or a Google Slide. You have to double click, and then you can interact with the text, and you can copy and paste the URL into the browser window. Okay, so yeah, if you just click on it like this, nothing's going to happen. You have to double click and then highlight the text, Control C or Command C, or just right click. Oh, it doesn't look like right clicking works. So Command C or Control C, and then paste it into the URL window here. Okay, so that's if your group has extra time. But 30 minutes is probably just the perfect amount of time to read through all of this, to discuss it, and to look at the templates and whatnot. Okay, so before we open up the breakout rooms, any questions? Okay, Amira, good. Yeah. Yeah, Jamboard is we'll talk about this after you guys get back, but there's pros and cons to using this tool, but that's one of the things that I'd like you to discuss in your groups. Okay, if there's no other questions, then I will stop sharing, and let's see here. Well, you know what? Let me just share it one more time. Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's, you know what, let's do 25 minutes. We'll do 25 minutes, okay? So I'll see everybody back here in 25 minutes. You'll jump into your breakout rooms, and if let's see, if we can set the breakout room timer to 25 minutes as well, that way we will just start this timer at the same time as the breakout room, so we know everybody will come back at around the same time. So let's meet back here in 25 minutes. Don't forget to introduce yourselves when you get into the breakout rooms. You may not know each other because you're going to be all mixed up from the different regions. So just take a minute or two to say hi and introduce yourselves, and then jump into the activity itself. Don't forget to choose a team leader. The team leader is going to share their iteration of Jamboard with the group. All right, everybody. So good luck. Enjoy interacting with each other. Go ahead and join the breakout rooms. If you have any questions, you can always ask for help in Zoom, and I'll come and join your room, but try and do as much as you can on your own. I'll start the timer now.
Hello, my Wi-Fi cut out. Can you put me back in group eight? Room 8.
Group 8.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Maya, do you see, I don't know if you see, is there like a join group option?
The host has opened breakout rooms. Please wait to be assigned.
Okay. Okay, yeah, we just need to reassign you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi. There was no one in that room. That was room 11.
Room 11?
I'm in room 8, number 8.
Okay. Give us just a second.
Thank you.
Of course. Maya, are you still here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, give us just a second.
Alrighty.
I get kicked off. Can somebody put me back into group 7?
Alex, which group? Group 7?
7.
Okay. Give us just a second. Billy, you got disconnected from group one.
Yeah, I think my internet cut and I had to restart my Zoom.
Okay. Okay, we'll get you back into the room.
Yeah, thanks.
Absolutely. Just hold tight. Okay. Let's see, I'm just gonna change my view here. All right, yeah, looks like everybody's back. Welcome everyone, welcome back. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. Share my screen. And then I'm just going to choose a random person. So I'm just, let's see, what do we have here? Okay. I think I'll choose Hannah. Okay. Hannah Cao?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Hannah. Okay, so what did your group talk about for this first question here? What skills did you have to use for the tasks? What did you guys talk about?
So our group didn't really hit each of these questions on individually. We kind of just spent some time discussing Jamboard in general. But I guess my personal take on what skills would be kind of just being able to organize your thoughts, because we have such limited space. So like we all did, we all used one sentence to explain our reasoning, but obviously if we were in person, had time to discuss, we would be able to write a lot more. So that's one.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you, Hannah. Okay, I'm gonna pick on somebody else here. Let's see. Will Casso or Casso?
Oh, sorry. So do you still want me to answer the first question?
Yes, please. Yes. What skills did you guys discuss?
So we didn't really, I don't think we talked too much about the first question. I remember talking more about some things we might edit for the tasks, or just kind of things that we appreciated about the task. I know I personally said that I thought if I were to bring this into a classroom setting with younger learners, I would want something that was maybe a little more collaborative, because I feel like from the outset, the way that the task is assigned, it kind of hits opinions against each other, which just in a virtual environment too, if people are feeling isolated, I would kind of want something that I feel like the younger learners are building towards. But I thought this is really interesting for this context, just if I were bringing it in with my elementary school students. And then we also talked about some of the terminology and the idea of a philosophical debate for young learners. So just the way we might bring it into a different context.
Okay, that's the first take I've ever heard that brings the idea of teaching philosophy to younger learners. And I love that. I think that's wonderful. That would be really, really challenging, but if you could pull it off, it would be such an amazing lesson. Okay, thank you very much, Will. All right, let's go to the next question. What would you change about the tasks for your teaching context? So Will did touch on that, but I would like to hear from one more person. Let's go with Amira. So for this second question, what would you change about the tasks for your teaching context? So what did your group discuss here?
For our group, we talked about shortening the tasks a little bit, because we did talk more than we anticipated. So shortening the tasks and not use technology, so it's easier for students. That's what a sticky note we had, just because we felt like there was like a lot of steps and a lot of slides to go through. So maybe just shortening like not the directions per se, but the tasks on what the overall goal would be.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. All right, let's go to the next question. What are some challenges that you see when you use a tool like this, and how might you overcome those challenges? All right, I'm going to pick on somebody who doesn't have their camera on. Let's see here. Lily Liu. Lily Liu, please.
I think some of the challenges could be that the students like don't have the same technology.
Okay, all right. Tech-based challenges. All right, how would you overcome those?
Yeah, I think like when I've used Jamboard before, we tried to like, since not all my students had like computers, so we would try to have everything be workable like on their phone or something. And also, yeah, just like not expecting all students to have like a microphone or headphones. So to be able to like interact in the chat and like make sure someone's always monitoring like any of the chat boxes or anything.
Okay. Okay, excellent. Thank you, Lily. All right. Let's go to the next question. And Sony, for the benefits of using a tool like Jamboard, Sony Madnani.
Yeah, sure. So I don't think we really got to this question, but we talked more about the challenges because we thought with this particular activity, it was pretty challenging to use Jamboard. But in terms of benefits, I think talking about more simple things, like maybe not philosophy, would be better for Jamboard. Also, one of the qualms I found was like these questions are very not like black and white. I think more discussion was required. So maybe activities that, you know, have a more black and white answer, or like students can pick one or the other, you know, without much discussion.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Sony.
Of course.
All right. And finally, how did my instructions or the lack of instruction affect your understanding of the task? And what would you have done differently? Let's see. Ray Chen. Okay. Ray, if you're not there, then obviously you're not hearing me. So let me go to somebody else. Let's see. Mobeen. So this last question, how did my instructions or lack thereof affect your comprehension of the task?
So I actually thought your instructions were in the beginning like really good. You went through everything twice. You also like showed us how to copy and paste, change the viewer, change the like restriction access stuff. So that was helpful. And then once that wasn't an issue, it was actually pretty easy for us to like get into the assignment and actually get into like the meat and bones of like getting through it. So that was helpful. I thought you did a pretty good job.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
And thanks for your feedback, Ray and Mobeen. And I just want to, you know, show you guys a couple of things that went into the planning when I was putting together this Jamboard. So you'll see that some of the frames have arrows and some don't. Nobody commented on that, but again, I don't know how many of you have taken classes or maybe majored in design or instructional design, UX, UI, but when you become an instructor online, you kind of have to familiarize yourself with the basic principles of UX and UI and accessibility and all of these things that don't necessarily come into play when we are in person. So, it's a good idea. I should have put some indication on each frame to go to the next one, right? I can't assume that my learners will know about that. Mobeen, you're raising your hand.
Yeah, no, I remember when I was in 4th grade, and this might be because my kids got used to walking all over me, is when we used Jamboard, they would just like click next, and I would have 30 slides. So I really like the big stop, the arrows. That's something that was just like so unconscious. But I definitely noticed, and I was like, wow, this is good. I know where to stop. Hopefully these kids listen a bit more, but that I can use for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's probably better to assume that there's going to be students who do click the next until they get to the full 20, because the limit on Jamboard is 20, right? Unless I think there's some instances where you can go above 20, but that's a really good point. And again, it's just something to think about. When you're creating an online tool, think about how the users, the learners, the students are going to be interacting with that tool, and don't assume anything, because there's going to be confusion, there's going to be chaos, especially with younger learners. Okay, so everybody, we have just a few minutes here. So like I said at the beginning, if you had time, it doesn't sound like any of the groups did have time, but if you did have time, you could have gone past the stop frame into some of these templates and ideas. You can see here that there's a million different things you can do with, and of course you all have copies of this. You can copy and paste images into Jamboard. You can do things like this, depending on the context. You could set, use the shape tool to circle all vowels, all consonants, something like that. You can annotate images. You can also create static backgrounds. So I can't move this background here, right? I use the set background tool, and then you can interact with it without worrying about dragging and dropping the background image. It's static. So again, there's all of these different things that you can do. You can vote, right? You can create little instant polls. So if you go to the last frame, there are some great resources here. You can copy and paste this. Another one of the advisors, Celine, put together just a couple writing and brainstorming Jamboard templates here. This link should work. It's, I believe it's open to anybody and everybody. We sent the settings to be open. And then I'll also share this document again. It has tons of resources. It's just a way to get started on your online teaching journey. And, one of the questions one of you put up was, did Taiwan go fully remote? Who knows what's going to happen in the future? So if you plan on being an educator after you complete your Fulbright grant, I would recommend now just playing around with these tools, because online education, regardless of what happens with anything in the future, is going to be an essential skill. Knowing how to design online courses and design online tasks and do all of these things. So even if you don't end up teaching online in the next year or so, still it's a good idea to familiarize yourself with these tools and these concepts, and poke around a little bit with UX and UI stuff. There's tons of great stuff online that can help you design things on Jamboard and Google Slides and a million other things. So we're out of time. I'm going to stick around if anyone has any questions or comments. I will share all of the resources with everyone. One way or the other, you'll have access to them through your Google Classroom streams. And again, please feel free to contact me anytime. My email is here, and here. Oh, did I get that right? No, I didn't. Anyways, I'll put my email in the chat here in just a second. There we go. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, please feel free to contact me anytime. And then some of you I will be seeing relatively often because you're in Central Region, AKA Middle Earth. So it'll be good to see all of you. And thanks everybody for great comments. Have a great rest of your day. If you have any questions, I'll be here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Malcolm. Okay, I guess nobody's got any questions. All right, thank you, everyone. And thanks, Jody, for organizing the breakout rooms and everything. Thank you so much. See you.
See you.
Bye.